What is up, guys? Today I'm reacting to the story of MrSavage. This guy has been blowing up everywhere and his edits are insane. So now I'm going to see where it all started and where he is now.
MrSavage is one of Fortnite's smartest players.
He blocked that out.
Smartest.
He takes 4 damage. Yeah, MrSavage.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah.
And the top competitor.
That's the music,
Now,
I hear
over
it.
6 years into his career, it looks like he's doing better than ever. So today, we're gonna take a look back to see exactly how he got here. Martin Anderson, best known as MrSavage, grew up in Norway his entire life. And as a kid, he would spend most of his time playing sports and being active. But there was one thing that stood out the most to those around him. And that's how extremely competitive he was. Savage and his brother loved competing against each other, whether that was football, chess, table tennis, or video games. Skipping ahead a few years later, we are now in late 2017, and a new battle royale was starting to take over, Fortnite. And the one who introduced him to the game was actually his brother. They both started playing together, but quickly, Savage's skills grew more and more. He was now outplaying all of his opponents, to the point where getting a win was second nature to him. And eventually, Savage would end up uploading his first ever YouTube video on March 22nd, 2018. For the next few months, he uploaded here and there, just posting clips and high kill solo squad gameplay. Now these videos did decently well for the time, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I mean shorts. I mean YouTube shorts I don't think it existed back then, because it did introduce recent. Like I think it's fairly new, so like it makes sense.
And in May of that same year, he decided to start streaming on Twitch for the first time. Savage was actually homeschooled back then, so if he was ever going to start
homeschooled, I was homeschooled.
Now would be the time. At first, he was really consistent, streaming almost every day, but as time progressed, the streams got more inconsistent. Now, even though he wasn't streaming as much as he used to, he was still putting in the time, playing the game as much as possible. And things would pretty much stay the same as they were until November, where everything would change. This was when he started uploading more high kill solo squads gameplay, and he finally started streaming consistently again. Because of this, he quickly started averaging around 100 viewers. And before he knew it, it was the very end of the year, and he was now averaging a couple thousand viewers. But nobody would have guessed what was about to happen in 2019. Now, since Savage was on the come up, everybody could see that he was going to be an amazing player one day. And because of this, he would end up getting signed to his very first large esports org, which would be NRG. Savage didn't waste this opportunity. He quickly started making a name for himself even more, breaking kill records, pulling off some insane big IQ plays, and dominating scrims against pro players. Because of all this, he started getting hundreds of thousands of views every single video, all while averaging around 5,000 viewers. But if streaming didn't already change his life, this upcoming announcement would launch him into stardom. Throughout the whole time Fortnite had been out, any competitive events hosted by Epic Games required participants to be 16 years old or older. And since Savage was 13, that meant he couldn't play in any of them. But when online tournaments were announced for the first time, they also stated that they were going to lower down the age requirement to 13. And just like when his stream started popping off, he would make sure to take advantage of this opportunity. For the first couple of tournaments, some of them were duos, so of course he had to play with another up-and-comer, Benji Fishy. And in the Scallywag Cup, which was actually the very first tournament you could earn in, he ended up placing 18th in the finals, giving him and Benji their first earnings. And in the upcoming tournaments that happened afterwards, he was doing extremely well. But soon, one of the biggest tournaments in gaming history was about to be announced.
The World
$40
Cup?
million Fortnite World Cup. And going into
that was crazy back then.
Up winning the Duo World Cup warm-up. So if it wasn't clear already, MrSavage was one of the best players in the world. He needed to prove it.
Yeah. Action speak louder than words.
Catch on him. He's white. Got him. We're going behind him. Nice. Go on. Nice. Another one. Got him. I called him. Gone. Dead. Down. Nice. He's white. Dead. Sorry. Knock one on them.
Bro.
Knock. Alright. I'm in his box. Knocked him.
He is absolutely crazy with this.
And And in the first week of duos, Savage dominated the competition, winning the event, punching his ticket to play at the finals in New York. So now that he already qualified for duos, he just had to do it one more time in solos.
Ooh. I like the music. Gives the grinding vibe.
Down on low ground, you're gonna get it. Yes, he does take out DK. So, for example, takes them out. That's another player that's not gonna be challenging him on the leaderboards. That matters. Sad Aqua.
So Savage qualifies this week for
yeah.
the World Cup Finals in New York, building on a 22 build remaining. The spray comes in a 72 tag.
Oh, is this where he did that? Oh yeah, this is where he did it.
He's deciding to take more damage.
Yes, it's that. Oh my God!
Dang.
The best shadow bomb use I've ever seen.
And he would end up qualifying off the back of one of the most iconic clips in Fortnite history. On top of already making it to both the finals, he also managed to qual an extra 2 more times in duos, just for some bragging rights.
But that's insane.
Now, going into the finals, a lot of people had MrSavage and Benji up there as one of the favorites to win. And in his mind, he was prepared to do so. So after months of preparation, it was time to see if he could make history. But unfortunately, that wouldn't happen. He didn't do too bad, placing 29th in solos and 14th in duos.
Yeah, that's not bad.
He was expecting to do much better. Now, his placements as a competitor may not have been up to his standards, but his numbers as a content creator was a completely different story. In August, just 1 month after the World Cup, he would end up hitting 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
Damn.
He was still averaging crazy numbers on Twitch, sometimes getting over 10,000 viewers consistently. And these numbers wouldn't stop, because not long after, the first FNCS was announced. Now, he didn't do too bad in Season X, placing 7th, but in Chapter 2 Season 1 squads, he wouldn't even make the Grand Finals. However, he was about to start 2020 with a bang. In February, he would end up leaving NRG, but that was because he had just gotten signed to 100 Thieves. And he was about to quickly show why this new signing was worth it. And that's because in the same month was the first LAN event since the World Cup, which was DreamHack. Now, it wasn't officially ran by Epic, but DreamHack is an extremely respected company. And with a $250,000 prize pool, many good players showed up to compete. He would end up easily qualifying, winning the Opens, then placing 14th in the semifinals. So after not playing to his potential at the World Cup, this was another chance for Savage to show the world he is one of the best.
That's MrSavage. Limited MrSavage. That, bro. Damn. Bro, 2 music. I hear 2 musics. Oh.
Savage would end up winning by almost 50 points, taking home $30,000. At this point, his confidence...
Wait, hold on a second here. $30,000, right? For me, that's about, or where I live, that's about, oh my goodness. Bro, that is about 570,000 rand. That's a lot.
It must have been through the roof. So going back in the FNCS, all eyes were on him. But for the next couple of seasons, things wouldn't go too well. In the upcoming Grand Finals, he placed 12th, 15th, 57th, 8th,
Bro,
and
that's
another
not,
8th.
That's
now,
not that bad.
These performances were bad by any means, but MrSavage was at the point in his career where all he wanted to do was win. And in Chapter 2 Season 6, he was about to make his best FNCS run till this day. This time, he decided to trio up with Refsguard and Andretta. And when they managed to win the first qualifier and place second in the next one, it seemed like Savage was back to his peak form. So heading into the Grand Finals, it was time to see if he could finally become an FNCS champion.
Dang.
Yeah, now height is free. Dead. Nice, we just. I think full box me now. Full box me now, guys. Don't reset one.
Wait, what chapter is this? Chapter 2. Yeah, this is chapter 2.
half a match. Duo now.
Dang. Man, once you want to prove yourself, things can go crazy.
They would play out of their minds, but sadly just barely get beaten out by Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky. However, a second place definitely boosted his confidence. But unfortunately, this confidence wouldn't transfer into a good performance going forward. Throughout the rest of Chapter 2, Savage would place 65th, 11th, 23rd, and 15th.
Okay,
But to be fair to him, in most of these FNCSs, he did end up getting contested, so obviously it would be very hard to do well. Now, his grand finals placements might not have been that good this chapter, but he did perform quite well in other tournaments. For example, he ended up doing really good in some cash co-ops and even ended up winning a duo DreamHack. But soon we were about to leave Chapter 2 in the past. We were now in Chapter 3,
Chapter 3 where I joined in the game.
With the new FNCS game mode being duos, he decided to run it back with Benji Fishy. But their dominance in the early chapter as a competitive sadly wouldn't continue. In Season 1 they placed 36th and in Season 2 45th. So after multiple bad performances in the grand finals, Benji would actually end up quitting the game. So Savage was left looking for a new teammate for Season 3. And he actually ended up playing with one of the best players in the game at the time. And that was Hen. He had just come off of a win in Season 1 and in 8th place the season prior. But even though this duo looked good on paper, they couldn't transfer that into the game, as they would end up getting 26th place. With really poor finishes and multiple grand finals in a row, many people started to call MrSavage washed. And when he placed 31st and 32nd in the FNCSs after,
no way they called him washed, bro.
To be true, especially that 31st and the FNCS Invitationals, since he is one of the most decorated LAN players in the entire game. But things would start to change in Chapter 4 Season 2. The FNCS Global Championship was announced at the beginning of this chapter. And the top players from the Grand Finals would end up getting invited to compete for $4 million at LAN. And like I said, in the very first season, he ended up getting 32nd. So obviously, he decided to find a new duo. And it was now where he would be playing with one of EU's greatest fighters, Vidil. So now, combining both of their skills and experience, everyone thought they'd have a chance to make it. And this was backed up even more when they finished second in both the first and second qualifiers of season's FNCS. Unfortunately, they would end up getting 8th in the grand finals, just one spot away from solidifying their spot at LAN. However, there was still good that came from this. For one, this was Savage's first top 10 brands since that second place, which was over 2 years ago. On top of that, they showed that it's possible for them to place well, competing against the best players in the game. So going forward, they just needed to make improvements going into Season 3. But sadly, they would end up running into the big Archie during the grand finals, and in the end, finished.
Why does it feel like always when they get to their peak, there is always something that has to hold them back? Like, it feels like they can grab it, but then like something has to drag them back down.
43rd. However, their global
it has to be frustrating.
Wasn't over quite yet. There was still the last chance qualifier left, where the top 9 teams all qualified. So with not much time left, they started grinding harder than they've ever done before. It was starting to work.
They knew
to make it to the finals, so
they should not play around.
It was now or never.
Ooh. Oh, the Havoc. Oh, that Havoc was insane. Wait, that's a breacher. Ooh. Bro, how do people use that gun like that? That's crazy. Oh, that SMG is, that's a lot of recoil. I wasn't really a big fan of it.
They did it, winning the last chance qualifier, making it to the global championship. Now in the finals, he would end up placing 36th. However, just qualifying to that event means that he's one of only a few players to compete in the 3 major LAN events the game has had. Not
it makes sense.
Skirmishes. Throughout the years MrSavage has been competing and grinding content, he's earned himself a $500,000 from tournaments.
$500,000. How much is that? Hold on a second here. Hold that. Bro, that's 9,500,000 rands. Oh my goodness, bro. You would have been set for life.
He's reached over 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube and 3.4 million followers on Twitch. And despite only having one podium finish in FNCS, he's still known as a top player. Plus, going into this new chapter, it seems like he might be back in his prime. Now, realistically, he probably won't do too well in FNCS this season because he's actually decided to run it with another OG GOAT, Mongrel. And the reason I don't think they'll do well is because I really doubt they're both going to put the time into VOD review and scrim together. And if you want to do well in an EU Grand Finals, you need to master both of those. Well, who knows, maybe they could end up shocking the world. But regardless, one thing's for sure, MrSavage will go down in Fortnite history.
Well, I think that is a really interesting video from Aced FN. I like how it shows that he got like a bunch of downfalls and then like got back up and like never giving up on these things. And why do people think they're gonna have, like, it's gonna be bad for them in the FNCS with him and Mongrel? Like, bro, I would think if they can put their heads together, they are gonna play really well. I don't know, you guys can leave your opinion about them in the comments down below. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also leave a like. And remember, stay awesome.